And to that piece of lieutenant that's always on his podcast, bash us, him.
Attention to roll call.
That's right. Good morning, everybody. You know, I got to laugh. Usually at the end of the show, Juju says, we go again tomorrow? Hey, Juju, we go again. So good morning, everybody. Mikey G, Metal Detective, Long Island, Cactus Joe, M. Franco, and Net. I hope Hassan's with us today. I hope he's okay. God bless the Hassan dealing with a death in the family. So this is, listen, some good stuff right here. I know John put out a video yesterday addressing Eric Adams looking for a pardon. You know what this says to me? I hope, John, and for our friends and listeners out there, I only hope and pray that Donald Trump is just playing possum right now, playing cat and mouse and playing a game. Hopefully he's playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers. Hopefully he's just toying with him. Because if not, to me, this is the message. And this is to every kid in America. Grow up, be a street hustler, become a cop, be a rebel rouser, become a politician, be crooked, be corrupt, and you'll get a pardon too. And that's the message they're sending. What do you think?
You know, it's a real politics is a real like sticky situation, right? So I look at I always try to look at things like what I would do. If it was me, like before I criticize somebody, I always look at like what I would do. And I know the whole keep your friends close but keep your enemies closer, and I respect that. And I also respect, we talk about it a lot on the show, opposition meets opportunity, right? Opposition meets opportunity. Eric Adams was a complete 180 for 3 years, his entire life, basically, except for when he was a Republican for like 4 years back in the early 2000s. But before then, before that time, after that time that he was a quick Republican, and then he went far left progressive, far left anti-police, and then became the mayor on a far left progressive stance. I mean, his campaign was brilliant because he campaigned as a moderate, but he never implemented any moderate things, even though he was saying some crazy stuff at the time. It was just the people that he was running with were real loonies, like Maya Wiley and all these other people. So he gets in as a moderate, but he never is a moderate, right? He's instantly a far left Stalinistic figure. We saw that in the mandates. He speaks a good line when it comes to the NYPD, but obviously the NYPD is in a miserable shape. Morale in the NYPD is at its lowest point, even lower than when Bill de Blasio was the mayor. And that's a fact. I don't care who doesn't like Bill de Blasio. I personally can't stand Bill de Blasio, but the facts are the facts. New York City looked 1,000 times better, felt 1,000 times better, and the NYPD was a much better run organization under Bill de Blasio. It's just facts, not my feelings, not because I can't stand Eric Adams. But now he switches, he gets indicted, he switches, Donald Trump wins the presidency, and I see value in keeping the mayor in New York City next to you. A mayor who, by the way, I doubt you trust, but he's useful.
Yeah, good morning. Shout out to Rich Raj. Here we go. Coffee and donuts, $20. Thank you so much. Good morning to you. I hope you're having a good holiday coming up soon. So Merry Christmas to you and your family. Thanks for always putting your hand in your pocket. We really appreciate it. Well, Eric Adams, I'm curious of how Eric Adams is actually going to sell this as this goes further down the road. If there is going to be superseding indictments for Eric Adams himself, but is Donald Trump and his camp going to look at this as the totality of this? That it's not just Eric Adams. It's Eric Adams has numerous picks in his administration that have an appearance of impropriety, numerous picks in his administration that under indictment themselves and have numerous sexual allegations against themselves. And again, you and I both say this, and let's put this out there. We both believe in due process. We both believe in innocent till proven guilty. We both believe that allegations are not substantiations. But yet, and this is part of your fight. This is actually a majority of your fight. Is where was your due process? Where was the due process for Marlon Bethel when it came to the mandate? Where was the due process for Sal Greco when it came to being a political target? Where was the due process for myself when I was targeted by Overzealous Civilian Complaint Review Board? So, unfortunately, the coin is one-sided when it comes to Eric Adams. So I hope that Donald Trump is not going to be bamboozled and just see at the surface of what's going on with Eric Adams. Because this is not a case of just getting upgrades for Turkish Airlines. This is far more than that. This far more in depth because Eric Adams is responsible for this administration. And going back to what you said is quite interesting, right? When we talk about just a segue into what you were talking about as far as the appearance of New York City, the condition of New York City under former Mayor Bill de Blasio. What's interesting about that is remember the unions at the time, especially with Ed Mullins, were taking a stance far more than what we've ever seen. But really, Ed Mullins was at the forefront taking a stance, and they were putting out videos and pictures showing what New York City is going to look like under former Mayor Bill de Blasio. Turns out those pictures are now reflective of what it looks like under Mayor Eric Adams.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, dude, politics is it's wild, dude. It really is. Like, and you got to like put yourself in it. And I'm not gonna lie, I was furious when I heard Donald Trump's statement. And it's not because I'm furious at Trump. And there have been times I've been, by the way, I don't, I like I said, I don't agree with anybody all the time. Nobody. There's nobody on this earth that I agree with. There's nobody that walks on this earth that I'm not going to be like, there's not going to be things that are going to be said or done that I'm going to be like, oh yeah, no, it's great. It's fine. I'm going to be like, nah, I don't like that. And that's life, right? It is what it is. I think the people that I'm closest to, I argue with the most. So, and because they chat, well, I argue with you, my sisters, my good friends, like everybody.
This guy.
Dude, everybody. People I'm close to, but that's the kind of, that's it. We challenge each other, and that's what growing and learning is. But like when I seen that, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, that's terrible. Like this dude, he fires Sal Greco for hanging out with his buddy Roger Stone. And because he's a Trump supporter, let's get that out there. I mean, like that people like to say it's not because he's a Trump supporter and there are other cops that are Trump supporters. Yeah, the majority of the police department are Trump supporters. They were closeted until very recently. John Shell was a closeted Trump supporter, and but like, and I think about that, and I'm like, how the hell is this guy gonna and in my opinion, I get the whole keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. But all I'm asking is, and then what I said, and I hope it came off good. All I was saying is, let the process play out, or at least take a good look at the investigation. Take a good look at that investigation. Don't take it on its face value. Take a good look and take the totality in, like you're saying. Take the totality of all the other allegations surrounding him. Maybe there's stuff he's not tied to, unless we're building a RICO case, which possibly looks like a RICO case to me. But unless you were building a RICO case, he might not actually be touched, even though he's the main player. Even though he's the main player behind a lot of things that happen. So that's all I was saying is, like, just take a look at what the hell's going on.
What happened there? Video's not coming up?
I don't know what the hell happened. I don't know. But shout out to Kaiser Sose. $50. I appreciate the show. Merry Christmas. Kaiser, thank you, brother. I don't know who you are, but we appreciate you, dude. Merry Christmas.
Well, at least that's the point, right? Kaiser Sose. We won't know. But hey, shout out to you, Coffee and Donuts. Big hit. We appreciate it. Getting close to Christmas. Thank you so much. I don't know who Billie Jean is, some kind of troll. But he says,
Oh, he's my favorite, but he's my second favorite.
oh, I gotta laugh. I figure it's probably John Shell or Gene Lewis, you know. But he says, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get this out without laughing. I bet that neither John nor Eric would pass the IQ test.
You might be right.
I gotta laugh at that. Yeah, so again, I want to reiterate that if he does get a pardon, you know, I really do believe that that's the message to a young kid out there. You know, grow up, be a street hustler, work your way into politics, scam, you know, be under suspicion your entire career, and then play politics. You know, you can switch your stance at any time. You don't have to be for the people. Just you have to, you know, it's all timing. You know, at the right time, butter up to the right politicians, and you can get a pardon too. I mean, think about it. How crazy is this? We're talking about due process, right? But yet, I mean, when are the people going to wake up and say, the American people, especially, you know, New York City, and say, wait a minute, this guy is seeking a pardon, and this case hasn't played out right now. If you were innocent and you were free of any type of guilt, would you be trying to seek a pardon? You're like, I don't care what happens with that guy. I'm innocent. I'm not guilty. This is my stance on politics. So be it. But he's seeking a pardon. We haven't even gotten to a hearing yet.
That's the, you know, and that's the funnier thing of all of it. I think that's the biggest hypocrisy in it all, is that he's basically telling everyone he's guilty. Right? He's basically telling everyone they got me. I need a pardon. That's what Eric Adams is saying. So this is what comes out yesterday. This is Trump taking questions at Mar-a-Lago. This is when it comes up and it goes viral, right?
Yeah.
Would you consider pardoning Eric Adams?
Yeah, I would. Yeah. I think that he was treated pretty unfairly. Now, I haven't seen the gravity of it all, but it seems, you know, like being upgraded in an airplane many years ago. I know probably everybody here has been upgraded. They see you're all stars and they say, I want to upgrade that person from NBC. I'm going to upgrade him. And that would mean you'll spend the rest of your life in prison. I don't know. Somehow I mean, I'd have to see it because I don't know the facts. I think he was treated, you know, it's very interesting when he essentially went against what was happening with the migrants coming in. And, you know, he made some pretty strong statements like, this is not sustainable. I said, you know what? He'll be indicted soon. And I said it not as a prediction, a little bit lightheartedly, but I said it. I said, he's going to be indicted. And a few months later, he got indicted. So, yeah, I would certainly look at it.
So that's what he said. I mean, it went viral. People went nuts. I don't think what he said is so terrible. I'll look at it. I think he's off base totally that Eric Adams was treated badly and that he made those comments. Again, those comments were totally directed towards Governor Abbott, and it was taken out by the right-wing media. There's a lot of people on the right, conservative influences, a lot of different clubs that will benefit greatly by Eric Adams continuing to be the mayor. And not only financially, I don't mean just financially benefit. I mean also if this criminal investigation goes away, the criminal investigation on them also goes away. So, you know, there's a lot of benefit for a lot of people. You know, there's not, you know, like I said, politics is a dirty, dirty game. So there's people that send me things and I'm like, yeah, I don't even comment on it because I'm like, I'm not going to that event with those people. I mean, like, I understand, like, we might have the similar look, but we ain't the same, you know, like you know, we're not the same, you know, it's not real, you know, and there's a lot of people looking to get wine, line, and pocket dime, like Sal Greco likes to say. And then there's others that partook in some real dirty contracts and some real corruption, and they got a lot to benefit by this whole thing going away. So, and they're people you wouldn't really see that are Eric Adams, that are Donald Trump supporters, or that would support Eric Adams, vice versa, right? So, and now all of a sudden you're seeing, if you pay attention to social media like we do, you're seeing the lines beginning to blur. You're seeing people who just a couple of weeks ago were far left with Kamala Harris, with Joe Biden. Now all of a sudden they're showing up at pro-Trump events, and vice versa. Pay attention, people.
I agree with you. I think you nailed it. And good morning and shout out to Latina Brown. She says it here too. We all knew who these people are pushing for Mayor Adams' pardon. Corrupt people will be exposed. The political clubs, ... which means it goes on and on. Shout out to you. Good morning, by the way, Latina. I agree. What you and Latina are saying here is absolutely right. And again, that's why I said, looking at the totality of this case, it's not just Eric Adams. It's Eric Adams and the people surrounding him. Numerous sexual allegations, numerous appearances of impropriety when it comes to potential private contracts. John, what do we say all the time? Crumbs, right? Every joke has a little humor to it, but there's not a joke behind that. It's serious. There are people in his administration looking for crumbs, including Eric Adams himself. And Eric Adams is the ringleader. So I think it was kind of lighthearted what Trump said here. Hey, he's saying, hey, would I give him a pardon? Sure. Because basically what he's saying, he's putting himself on parallel, saying I was a political target. I was a political hit job. But has he delved into the case? Not necessarily. I mean, this is on the surface when it comes to this conversation. And listen, I think it's very interesting the spin that the Adams campaign has been able, especially Adams himself, to give this perception. Again, what does Marlon say? Marlon, can't wait to show up because Marlon says perception management. It's the same thing, right? It's perception management for the NYPD, but also the Eric Adams administration. Perception management. If we go back, it's kind of brilliant what he said. He said his positions for open borders, right? Sanctuary city. But at the same time, he's saying this is all not sustainable. You and I both know, we read right between the lines, who he said it to. But now it was so vague that he's able to twist it and say, no, I'm saying about the whole situation. And that's what he did the other day when he had his press conference, right? Where he was immediately defensive with the reporters. But what did he say? Oh, I want the same thing. I want safety. So he's a political genius when it comes to that, playing this game. 516 Diecast. Shout out to you. Good morning, Coffee and Donuts. $1.99. Good morning, gentlemen. President Duty. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for being here. Present. There's no better place to be right now than with friends, and we're having a great conversation. So wait for Juju to show up here. We need some entertainment. So seems to me he's here in other forms. But it's all right. I mean, John, don't you agree that, again, if it would, I just think that if it was just upgrades, we would never have the conversations that we're having to this depth. But it's not just that. It's not.
I personally think that there's a lot of immunity given to politicians, especially when you're higher up. I think there is not one standard of justice for all. I think if it was just upgrades, none of this would happen. I agree with you 100%. And then there's people on here, America First, FLL. The FBI went after Eric Adams because he resisted. He resisted the migrant scam. I mean, dude, couldn't be further from the truth. We've exposed it time and time again. I'm not going to go through all the videos that we put on here all the time. But October 3rd of 23, Eric Adams, the border must remain open. That's after he said that the migrant thing is going to kill us, because he was asking for money from Joe Biden to fund these migrant scam contracts that him and his buddies were doing dirty shit with, giving all those things. You got to think, he incentivized the entire world to come to New York City. He incentivized it. We were all had our hands. We were all screaming from the rooftops before he even got in, before he even got elected. And he was saying, what did he say? That ICE will never harm an immigrant. So anybody, violent felons who are here illegally, ICE can't touch them, according to Eric Adams. That's what he campaigned on. He campaigned New York City is going to be a sanctuary city. When Abbott was turning people away, he was welcoming them. I don't know how people don't remember this. He was at the bus station welcoming them and hugging them. We'll take them. Texas doesn't want them. We'll take them. He set up all these scams. And then as he's draining the city coffers and he's like, yeah, I'm going to get federal funds, Joe Biden wouldn't give federal funds. And that's when he starts with, oh, this is going to crush us. But a week later, he's taking trips down to the southern border and he's sitting there telling you the borders should remain open. This is as early as a year ago. So he never really switched. He switched 2 weeks ago. The first time Eric Adams said that the border should be closed was after he was indicted, and it was a week after Donald Trump got elected. It was a week after he won the election. That was the first time he said the border should be closed. Now he's saying that, oh, we should be able to take violent felons off the street, but he's still $350 a week to food, $10,000 on debit cards, free hotels, billions and billions and billions of dollars. And when you look at these contracts, they all have a very similar thread. It's all friends of Eric Adams, right? No bids at contracts, all friends of Eric Adams, and his entire cabinet left. It's not because they're under attack from the FBI. It's because they're dirty. I mean, I like he's done a great campaign of throughout America. Everyone thinks they know what's going on in New York, but they have such little information about it, and they can't actually have the actual conversation. And it's just the furthest from the truth. The man's been under federal, state, and city investigation his entire political career. Even in the debate, Andrew Yang brought that out. I'm not going to play all these videos again because it's just continuing to fight the tide. But Eric Adams never resisted the migrant scam. Till today, he continues to push for the migrant scam. All he's saying now is that violent felons should be deported. That's all he's saying. He's still saying that all those people should go to work while he's fighting to keep me out of work, while he's fighting to keep Maul and Bethel out of work, right? He's fighting hard to keep illegals to go to work in this country, while at the same time he's fighting tax-paying Americans from being allowed to work. So, and by the way, legal immigrants like Maul and Bethel.
I think what's important to note here is what you're saying, and also Latina. Latina's on fire here. Good morning, Latina. She said, abuse his position of power to hook up his friends with contracts. Crumbs. Politicians are definitely involved in this too. An investigation was launched into Adams around 2019. Andrew Yang called it out at the mayoral debate. New York, keep it up. So ultimately, I think what's important to note here is that what Donald Trump said is, hey, for something that happened years ago. Now, if that was the case, that in 2014, I don't know what the statute of limitations are, but let's say 2014, that's all Eric Adams ever did was take an upgrade. And then they came at him in 2024 for this one mistake of judgment. We're talking about more than 10 years ago. And he was never under any suspicion. And he was, a public servant who everyone loved. And he said, this guy puts everyone before he puts himself. He did so many positive things. Then I could say, okay, wait a minute. I don't even know what the statute of limitations are. That is more than a decade ago. But that's not what happened here. So, Latina, you're absolutely right. And John, same thing. That's not what happened. He's been under, and I think what's so important, what Andrew Yang said is, he has been under suspicion. He's been a man of scoundrel his entire career. He's always under suspicion. And, for Eric Adams, he's been a smooth talker. He's been savvy, justifying his appearance of impropriety. And now this is starting to actually surface and come out. So it's nothing new. It's not that something happened years ago and boop, pops up. And Eric Adams has been a good old boy. That's not what the case is here. And I think that's an important way to look at it.
No, it's crazy, dude. And then Sal Greco, we even played a video on here the other day in 2014. He was under investigation for taking foreign money to build like some type of thing in the Chinese community. And Errol Lewis, he's on New York One. Errol Lewis has talked to him, and he's pulling his same nonsense that, borough president, I'm an international borough president. Supposed to build an arch in the Asian community. Arch never gets built, but he took all the money. He made all these trips. Brooklyn's an international borough. We played that trip. We played that video 2 episodes ago. I mean, I just could go days and days and days replaying all this video to defeat that. But most of you guys that are on here have seen all of that a bunch of times. So I'm not gonna continue to just play the same things. It's ridiculous at this point. It couldn't be further from the truth. He has not fought back at the migrant crisis at all. At all. I don't even say the crisis, the politically created open border crisis that was created by the Democrats that he cheerleaded for, and then was the mayor that incentivized them more than anyone ever. But he continues to attempt to distance himself from it. So he does a podcast yesterday, right? There's a podcast yesterday, Mona David's podcast. I have no idea who she is, but whatever. The One City Rising was pushing it because it's gonna be a great interview with all of these things. And I'm like, yeah, all right. I was like, I'm sure there's not going to be any questions asked. But this is what he says. He's talking about de Blasio, and he's trying to distance himself. So what he says on Real Talk with Mona Davids, let's hear how real this talk is. He talks about Bill de Blasio getting sanctuary city history. They stated that even when you are here and you commit a violent act, we can't collaborate with ICE to identify who you are. Right? This is what he says. They stated that. And I immediately retweeted that. I was like, and I retweeted it with a Eric Adams quote. This is Eric Adams. So it wasn't they, Eric. It was you. You are part of the they. This is what Eric Adams ran on. This is his tweet, 6/3/2021, from last night's debate. We need to ensure that undocumented immigrants receive health care and protection. That ICE is never, let's take that again, never. That means if they rape you, they kill you, they rob you, it doesn't matter. ICE will never be in a position to partner with the police department and harm them. We also need to make sure that they are treated with the respect and dignity they deserve. So that's Eric Adams, but Eric Adams completely distancing himself yesterday on that podcast. They said that. It's like, no, dude, you said that. And let's not forget the number one, almost besides all the contracts, which is they should all, in my opinion, the New York City is being ran by a criminal enterprise right now. And even though those that step down to spend more time with their grandkids or their kids should go to jail, but besides that fact, let's not forget how much support Eric Adams was given to illegals to vote. And everybody brushes over that fact that he hasn't changed his tune ever on that. He wants them to vote, and that's why he wants them to work. He actually sued, he lost, he appealed, he lost again, and then he tried to convince city council, who's now fighting, to get illegal immigrants to vote in elections. Don't sit here and tell me that Eric Adams ever pushed back against this. Eric Adams supported it. He incentivized it. He was Joe Biden's biggest cheerleader, the self-proclaimed Biden of Brooklyn.
Well, the bottom line is this is the real Eric Adams, at least for what we know it. The majority of his career, this is Eric Adams. This post-indictment Eric Adams just further shows how self-serving he is and how his character is and lack thereof when it comes to character and actually lack of just personal integrity. Again, think about that. He's seeking a pardon. He's changed his stance completely before we even made it to a hearing. Before we actually delved into his case. Forget about due process. He's openly admitted through subliminal messages that he's guilty. That he's guilty, not just of taking upgrades. It's just far beyond that. And I don't think anybody is bamboozled to believe that. But unfortunately, most people don't actually look below the surface when it comes to politics to actually see what the stance is. They go by third-person information. What does Sal Greco say? Shout out to you, brother. I know you're back in Florida enjoying the sun. Sal Greco says low information voters, right? So most people, they're busy with their lives, and they're just low on the totem pole when it comes to information about politics, especially Eric Adams. And I know it. I speak to cops all the time. Oh, Eric Adams is doing great for us. And really? He is? Tell me how. Because he says a couple of keywords that makes you feel good, or you heard it third person. But right here's the real Eric Adams, where he says, we need to ensure undocumented immigrants receive health care protection. And what do I always say, John? I say it all the time. Kaz Daughtry, John Schell, the upper echelon of the police department, they have a terrible PR campaign. And they don't understand certain times when they put out certain tweets, and I laugh and I look at it, and they box themselves in to certain statements that years later, when it comes around and they may have to adjust their stance, they box themselves in with words like this, that ICE is never, think that, never in a position. He didn't say seldom. He didn't say that, hey, there's exceptions based on the significance of the crime. And, is this particular illegal alien a threat to our society in New York City? No, he doesn't say that. He doesn't say it. He says never. So that's the real Eric Adams. Now, if Eric Adams would have came forward and said, hey, listen, this was my stance, and I've analyzed it, all right? In my heart, I wanted to believe that people that were crossing the border wanted to come here for a better life. But after analyzing it, I can see that we have data, and I can see that there's an appearance here of illegal military-age males, connected to trend day arrival that are a legitimate threat to this country, and now I have to adjust my stance, and here's why. That I can respect, and that makes sense. But that's not what's happening here.
No, yeah, absolutely not. It's crazy. It's really crazy to just continuously have to combat this. But it's the propaganda stick. It really is. It's done a great job, and he's politically very smart. I mean, he has maligned himself with the Democrats 100%. But But I just have to play it again for our friends that join us. I'm sorry, because this is Eric Adams. This is Eric Adams a year ago. I mean, it's not, he really has never changed. Even today, he's not changed. He's just saying some stuff that sound right.
We believe the borders should remain open. That's the official position of the city, but we have made it clear there should be a decompression strategy that we could properly deal with the volumes that's coming into our city, and no cities should have to carry the burden of the national government.
So, I mean, there he goes. He says it clear as day there. Borders should remain open. So let's not even talk his politics. Screw it. He switched. He changed. All of a sudden, he supported open borders, but he changed overnight. He had an epiphany. The ghost of Christmas past came to him, and he changed. Does that mean that he should be forgiven for what he's done with the contracts? If he was a Republican who supported securing the border, who supported the police department was being run properly, New York City was improving since Bill de Blasio, he brought jobs back, he stopped the mandate, he rehired all the city workers. Should he be pardoned for committing crimes? I don't think so.
I'm glad that you said that, right? Because I've been thinking about this. What is the metric, or what's the measure, or what's the basis for a pardon? What should be the metric of who gets a pardon and why? Should it be, to me, I would think that someone that gets a pardon is someone that has been a political target and that would not be charged if there wasn't politics involved, period. Like Daniel Penny. Daniel Penny, complete political target. His case was infected by politics. To me, a case like that, like God forbid Daniel Penny was convicted, that I could see someone gets a pardon. His entire life, as a young man, he's lived a positive life. He served his country in the Marine Corps. He's a good Samaritan. In a case like that, someone's being targeted, and it's just, for instance, Donald Trump, complete political target. I know some people want to say Eric Adams is a political target, but we've provided the evidence, numerous episode after episode on this podcast, how he's not a political target. And Eric Adams is just an unscrupulous person. And he's been under suspicion his entire career. So shout out to Andrew Yang for actually pointing that out. He was spot on when he said that. So that's why I think it really comes down to who gets a pardon and why. And a pardon should be also to someone that has been who puts others before they put themselves. Someone that has been really a public servant, someone that has volunteered their time to certain things, someone that has given others before they put themselves when it comes to medical health, when it comes to mental health, when it just comes to being all out, someone of service. And Eric Adams is not that. Someone, maybe they made a mistake in life, but they changed their life. They have evidence to show that they went out there and did things to actually make themselves a better person and to make others better as well.
Still be held accountable, in my opinion. So Morty 32 says, John, what is the meaning of your T-shirt? Do you think many will take offense to it? Oh, I'll answer the second question first. I don't really care if anybody takes offense to anything I do. Be offended. This is what America's about. If freedom is anything, it means the right to offend other people, right? If we have freedom in this country, I don't want to go around openly offending people. But if you're just offended for me doing something, I'm not really going to worry about when I wake up in the morning. If you're offended that I have a goatee, if you're offended that I want to run on the block or ride my bike or work out with my garage door open, none of these things are none of my concern. But the shirt is from Bishop Leon Benjamin. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with him. Definitely check him out. He's a man of God. I did a speaking event with him recently. Little backstory on the shirt. He's like, come here, I want to give you a shirt. So he's like, what size are you? So he's like, extra large. I was like, no, I'm a medium. So he was like looking through his bag, and I thought he knew the joke, right? Like I just assumed he caught like what I was saying. He's like, bro, I don't think I have any mediums. How the hell are you gonna fit in a medium? I was like, dude, I'm just kidding. I was like, I was only joking. A large. He's like, oh, okay. So, but yeah, great organization, MAGA Black. I'm just supporting my friend's organization. And if people get offended by it, be offended. It's America, So.
If we got offended by everyone's T-shirts, by their clothing, we'd be ripping people's shirts off all day. I never understood that, why people get so annoyed by other people. Like, I don't try to change someone's tune. I don't try to argue with them. If you want to wear what you want to wear, you want to say what you want to say, I don't care. I don't care. I saw a guy the other day. He was talking to a couple of guys I know, and he came around with a couple of pamphlets. He was pushing Elijah Muhammad, and he was talking to two guys I know in the area. One guy's Hispanic, and the other guy's Indian, and I kind of became friendly with them. They're in the RV world too. And so I walked over, tall black guy, and I could hear him saying under his breath, here they come. So he thought I just went to just talk to see what was going on. He didn't know that these guys are my buddies, right? When he said, here they come, it's like, here's the white guy coming. So he didn't want to talk to me. But, I know you can't say black people are racist, but there are black people that are racist. So, and the point is, I didn't care. I was laughing about it. You think I'm not going to spend my time and get into an argument to him and try to prove, white people are good or black people are good or all people. I'm not even going to bother. He already has his mindset. You know what? The only person that could change his mindset to me is him. So why am I going to bother? I'm not going to let anything he says bother me. I just laugh it off. That's the way you got to be. By the way, shout out to you, Ron Layson. I was hoping that you would actually hashtag opposition meets opportunity. John actually put it. I think John said it twice, by the way. So I hope you're not missing him. Patrick Donahue, shout out to you, brother. Coffee and donuts, here we go. $9.99. Protein drinks and fresh cut fruity for the podcast listen supporters. Special good morning to those who are monitoring my social media posts and are upset about them. My cell is the same. HMU. Okay, John, what is HMU?
No, I actually don't even know. What is HIMU? Oh, no, HMU.
HMU. Okay.
Hit me up.
I don't feel so. Hit me up. Okay.
Now, Pat, I say the same shit, bro. You know, a lot of people are mad. A lot of people got shit to say. Whenever I see anybody, it's all love. It's funny. I didn't hear that. I heard a couple of months ago. I heard some other shit from you, but whatever, And I'm like, my number's the same. Everybody got my number. Hit me up. I said something you don't like. I'm open to hear about it. Eric said something that pissed you off.
I don't care.
It's not my concern, right?
I said the same thing. Hit me up, right? All cops who up was calling me at Conce 3 a.m, right? And I kept trying to FaceTime him, but then he disconnected his number. He wouldn't FaceTime me. Isn't that funny? People want to hit you up, hit me up, no problem. Tom, shout out to you. I miss Tom, by the way. Coffee and donuts. Plot twist. Biden will pardon Eric to beat Trump. Well, he's getting close. I mean, if that happens, he's got to first be found guilty. But, that's, and again, isn't that crazy? We're talking about a pardon.
Biden was pardoning everybody, but he did. I think it's the most pardons in history ever. But Eric Adams wasn't one of them. And the self-proclaimed Biden of Brooklyn, Joe's favorite mayor. If you don't remember that, I'm Joe's favorite mayor. You know, see, it doesn't seem that way. But yeah, Pat Donahue, shout out to you, brother. Listen, you know, I definitely got a ton of respect for you. Love to have you on here one day, get your thoughts. You come on here. You're a well-known figure in the department, and you use your own name, and you're not afraid to vocalize your opinions, say what you think's right. And you know, and for just doing that, I mean, they label myself and Eric, and I'm sure you now, as a radical. Oh, you guys are radical. I'm like, why are we radical? You know, what did we say? Spoke with a girl the other day. She was telling me, she was like, oh, you guys are radical. I was like, how are we radical? What's radical about all I was saying? I was like, is there anything that you could point to that you would think is like a radical stance or a crazy stance? She's like, no, we mainly agree with you. I was like, so why is it radical? Because we're doing it we're voicing it publicly. You know, it's like, that's not radical. That's what we're supposed to be doing. We've all been like put in this box. Like, I don't know, man. I grew up in a different world. My father said anything that came to his head, and I was like, oh my God. I hated to even go out to dinner with my father, you know, like he said anything that came to his head. He didn't care. And like, I grew up around people that would say anything. What are you wearing that stupid shirt for? What do you got that dumb hat on your head for? You think you look good with that goatee? Like I grew up in a world where people said what they thought and they didn't hold back. Issue arose. They told you exactly what they thought about it. They weren't shy. They didn't dance around it. Oh, the mayor might be mad. Oh, my sergeant's not going to like me. Oh, they didn't even think about it. Oh, I might get transferred. Didn't care. Wasn't. This is what I'm going to tell you. This is, and we, you know, and I think, you know, we need to bring that world back. I think that world needs to come back. That's America. That's freedom. If I can't say what I'm thinking, I'm not free to think. So shout out to you, Pat Donahue. You're welcome on the show anytime, brother.
Oh, absolutely. Patrick Donahue, by the way, always keeps me amused. His stuff is hilarious, but he's spot on. He's spot on, and he puts some humor to it. That's what I like. So, yeah, Patrick Donahue, when you're ready, brother, you know, we want you up here. And I would love to do a live with him because I think it would be fun. You know, I know most of the times when we have people on here, we do recordings and we do interviews, but I think Patrick Donahue would be fun to have him live. You know, he's got a lot of snap in him. So, you know, I don't want to give any names, but I just want to say I had a conversation the other day with a good friend of mine, a friend I've been friends with for years. And he said to me, I was taken back. I was shocked. Like he said, "Are you worried that that they'll come after you? Try to sue you, try to take your pension, try to take money from you, or even worse? Do you ever worry that they'll? I don't want to get kicked off here on YouTube. That they'll the K word, try to take you out. Basically get whacked." I'm like, I said, you realize what you're saying? I said, John and I do a podcast where we give our opinion based on our police experience. We compare it to policing now. We present similarities. We present the differences. We're critical of the upper echelon. We're critical of leadership. And leadership, even if this was the best administration ever, we should still be critical because it's important to have your finger on the pulse so that it's influential and beneficial to the rank and file and also in correlation to public safety. And I said, you know what? Even if that's the case, even if you're right, because we're giving our opinion, I have to worry about that. I have a dog tag tattooed on my rib that says death before dishonor. And I'd rather live, tell the truth, than lay down like a dog and live a lie. But it's sick that what people actually say. I can't believe that they fear these clowns so much to think that their lives are at stake financially and that they could meet death because they're giving their opinion. And you know what? I'm not trying to act like a tough guy, but you know what? If someone was to come after me for those reasons, well, you know what? they better be willing to meet the dark side also. So that's the most ridiculous thing. Absolutely. I mean, and I don't understand how people justify this. You're talking about the police department and who should be protecting the U.S. Constitution, which is your First Amendment right. And yet, we're justifying that it's okay that you should keep your mouth shut, even in retirement. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And, you know, if they get me, they're going to get me from behind anyway. So I don't get it. I won't know it anyway. Cowards. So whatever. Yeah, and the other thing yesterday, Eric Adams' re-election campaign took a huge hit. They said they're not going to match. The decision came down. I mean, we all knew the decision wasn't coming down. I wasn't shocked. I mean, everyone knew it was coming down. Latina was talking about a couple of weeks ago. Everybody knew that he was not getting matching funds, but he is not eligible for matching funds based upon how his campaign abused the matching funds. For those of you not from New York City, so what matching funds is, if you donate to a campaign and you live in New York City, if you donate to a campaign and you live in city, sometimes the fund would be 8 for 1. So for every dollar I give, you get $8 from New York City taxpayers. I think that's highway robbery. I don't understand that at all. I think that needs to be repealed immediately. That's a huge waste of tax money. Screw these politicians. You want to run? You don't need all that money. So what's being alleged in the Eric Adams campaign is that Eric Adams goes to Eric Dim, who owns a business, says, I need matching funds. It's matching funds time. So what does Eric do? All of Eric's employees give funds to Eric Adams. They've never donated to campaigns before, but they give funds. They give matching funds. They give a donation. Whatever the limit is, they give the limit donation, right? These people that have never donated politically before give a donation. And then Eric reimburses them with a bonus in cash for Christmas. So now Eric Adams compiles all this money. Eric is in line for a huge contract that's going to make him way more money than the money he put out. He keeps his employees happy because he gave him a Christmas bonus in cash, right? The problem is that sometimes investigative reporters were actually going around and questioning these people, and they were saying, "Wait, I never donated to anybody's campaign ever." So their names were being used. So now, on top of that, an audit starts getting done, and they're like, "Oh, Eric's ineligible to donate to Eric Adams' campaign for whatever reason. This one's ineligible. This payment's too high." Okay, no problem. Oops, sorry, you caught me stealing the purse. Oh, I'll give back Eric's donation. Gave back Eric's donation, but I got 8. Oh, what the hell's going on? Finest retired on Unfiltered podcast. This messages for President-elect Donin. It's too much of my voice on there. But so what happens is, apologize for that. So what happens is that he'll reimburse Eric's donation to his campaign, but he doesn't reimburse the matching funds. And that's what happened. And that is dirty, dirty, dirty. Most of it was done knowing that they were going to reimburse. They were going to reimburse the city. They were going to reimburse the contributor to the political campaign because they weren't allowed to take the donations, but they were taking the donations anyway so that they could get the matching funds. And what they would do is say, "Oh, we went through all this and we found that these donations were no good, so we just reimbursed them." Yeah, but you never gave back the matching funds. And that's what they were doing. That's what they're being alleged. And that's why he's calling for a pardon.
1,000%. Absolutely. It's almost like, shoplifting. You walk out with the pocketbook. You know what? All right, I'll pay for it. You walk out with something. Oh, you caught me. Okay, I'll pay for it. I was going to pay for it anyway. Again, unscrupulous person, Eric Adams. Eric Adams has been under suspicion his entire political career. And that's the point by what Andrew Yang was saying. And that's the point behind this pardon. If Eric Adams receives a pardon, he's only going to continue to be an unscrupulous person. He didn't learn anything from this. There's no value in this. And in fact, if people actually care about Eric Adams, they'll let this play out And if he's convicted, do his time, or if it's going to be a fine, pay his fine. But he needs to actually be disciplined to actually learn from it to move forward. If he receives a pardon, then what value is there to learn? Instead, you know what? Keep being a street hustler. You know what? Keep circumventing the system. So that's why I said, what is the metric for actually giving someone a pardon? And I would say, again, something that should have not been a crime, or someone that has, again, what you said, being accountable. You should be held accountable. You pay your debt to society. And then going forward, what did you do in character building? How did you build your own character? How did you build other people's characters? What was your contribution to society? You know, and that's my question sometimes. And I would ask a lot of times, you know, when I would deal with perpetrators out in the street, and sometimes they would say, oh, you know, I did my time, I'm good. Well, I would say, okay, going forward, what is your contribution to society? And that's the question for Eric Adams. If Eric Adams receives a pardon, what is his contribution? Because we can't even think of a positive contribution as mayor. What positive contribution can we think? I mean, I saw one the other day. I was like, wow, okay, here's a contribution. But at the same token, right now, the state the city is in right now is this is what we should be doing. They built an indoor baseball stadium in Washington Heights, which is really nice. That's something positive. But where did that money come from? I was curious. So was that a private contract? Where did that money come from? And again, because we're dealing with someone that's unscrupulous, these are the thoughts that we get. His entire administration is built on impropriety. So, and that, immediately, that's what came to my mind. So what contribution does Eric Adams have that's garnered a pardon?
Absolutely not. Seriously, it's shame to say, but like it's been 3 years. He has not one accomplishment, not one, nothing. There's nothing. If anybody knows of one, please, I'll read it out. Please tell me what Eric Adams has done. Please, I don't know. He make America indigenous again, float back to Europe. But he has done nothing. He's done absolutely nothing. So I put this little video out yesterday. I was a little upset about what happened. And I got a ton of calls. John, get over it. Eric Adams is a good guy. Blah, blah, blah. Thank you for those of you that share it out. All this other stuff. Mainly conservative, pretend people, MAGA guys. All, yeah. I was like, listen, dude, you know, get on with your life. Stop talking politics. Stop podcasting. I'm like, dude, what do you do for a living again? You're a fireman? Yeah, go fight fires. Do I tell you not to fight fires? Who are you to tell me what I should do and how I should move on in my life? You should enjoy your life. You're retirement. You got a great life. You got a ton of things going for you. I'm like, yeah, no, I know. I do. I enjoy my life. I have a ton of things going for me. And this is what I do now. If you don't like it, don't listen. Nobody's telling you to listen. Like, what do you care what I'm saying or what I'm doing online? Why are you even watching? You know, and I got that. I'm probably about 20 times yesterday. Text messages, just give it up. It's over. You know, it's over. Everything's good now. Adams is on the right path. It's like, okay, he's on the right path, but I'm not done yet. Until he does the right thing, I'm not done. I am not done. And guess what? Even if he does the right thing, I'll forgive, but I ain't never going to forget. But I'm not in the forgiving mood right now. I'm not in the forgiving mood at all right now. There was money stolen out of my children's mouth. There was money stolen out of Marlon Bethel's mouth. There were money stolen out of thousands of other cops' mouths and firefighters and teachers. I'm not done. I want it rectified. Adams is not on the right track right now. He's still a totalitarian piece of garbage. So I put this out. If anybody's offended or you think I'm off kilter, please let us know. Good afternoon, everybody. John McCarry, New York's finest retired and unfiltered podcast. This message is for President-elect Donald J. Trump. President Trump, I've been a staunch supporter of you, even when others around you have not. My message today is in relation to your comments on pardoning New York City Mayor Eric Adams. New York City Mayor Eric Adams continues to fight unvaccinated New York City workers from returning to work. For over 3 years, even though court case after court case has proven the illegal actions he enforced during New York City's mandate. There are cops, teachers, and firefighters who are homeless. Numerous other New York City workers who are homeless as a result of his enforcement, his totalitarian enforcement of Bill de Blasio's unethical, illegal vaccine mandate, which violated religious rights in the workplace, which violated everything that we know to be hold true in this country. He continues to do that. He continues to keep people homeless, while at the same time, for 3 years, he welcomed the entire world to come to New York City. And questionable contract after questionable contract. Who does he fight to get to work for, Mr. President? He fights to get unvaccinated, illegal immigrants to work, while fighting to keep lifelong New York City residents and taxpayers of this country out of work. He's an unethical person, Mr. President. I'm not saying this lightly. Look at the NYPD. There's been a mass exodus in the NYPD under this administration. The NYPD has the inability, regardless of what his appointed weak leaders who were all taking knees 3 years ago have to say, there's been an exodus in this department for over 3 years. Started with his abuses in the vaccine mandate, but it only furthered since. The inability to recruit and retain officers is at an all-time high. There have never been this many people in the NYPD that have retired early, or resigned at any other point in history than under this man's administration and the people that he appointed. His whole administration is surrounded in scandal and corruption, and rightfully so. Now, I believe in due process in this country, even though I myself and thousands of others were not given it. Even people who supported you were demonized by this man and his entire administration. Now, I believe in due process, and Eric Adams is entitled to his due process like anybody else. You should not circumvent that. That's what I ask from you, Mr. President, and I'm sure there are thousands and more than likely millions who support that message. For over 3 years, the official position of New York City remained the borders should remain open, even as crime rose. He has nearly 180'd on every single stance he has, but yet he keeps cops, firefighters, teachers, and sanitation workers homeless. He harms their children and their family. He continues on his unethical stance. This is not a man that you should have around you, and anybody around you telling you that this is a good guy is also people you should not have around you. These are not America First people. These are not people who want to make this country great again. These are people who are looking to line their own pockets. These are not ethical people. Eric Adams is not an ethical man. So what do you think about it, Eric? Am I off kilter at anything? Is this the worst version of the NYPD ever under this person? Are more people leaving today than any other time in history? And should he circumvent due process? I mean, I personally hate the whole pardon thing. I really do. I hate the fact that there is political persecution in this country. I think we need to get away from that. But to pardon someone before the investigation's even done?
Well, that's my point, right? I think we laid it out here. By the way, before I even answer it, which I want to, I think this is great. Doreen Murnane, shout out to you. She says, let's get to 100 likes today. Thanks. No, we appreciate it. Please like, share, and subscribe. Our friends and listeners help us build this podcast, build this network together. So like, share, and subscribe. If you're on X, please share out this live video. Let's get people on board. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. I think your video is spot on. For one, even before I get into that, I don't understand either, because I was told the same thing by the union, John. Just go enjoy your life. Go enjoy your life. You got money. You're good. I'm like, wait a minute. So this is what it equates to, John. Enjoying your life. You know what? That enjoying your life is the subliminal message for AKA shut your mouth. That's what they mean. Shut your mouth, right? You should enjoy your life, right? So is that what we're supposed to do? If once you leave the police department or retire, go fade away somewhere and just die, just sit there with your money. If that's what these people think, that's what it is. Enjoy your life, just shut up. And the reason why they say that because they mirror their own misery. When they look in the mirror, they say, wow, I couldn't speak out. I don't have the balls to do it. So you know what? Why should John do it? Well, I don't have the balls to do that. Why should Eric do it? These guys should shut up. Just go enjoy your life. You should wake up and have strawberries every day. That's not reality, brother. Wake up. Anybody that's retired to tell you that's not reality. So, John, back to your video. Great job. Sometimes John and myself, we put out some monologues. Great video. It's a great message. And the bottom line is it's exactly what we're saying in this episode here. We're talking about getting a pardon before we even made it to a hearing. Let's hear all the facts of this case. Let's have due process on both ends. Due process for Eric Adams and due process for the public he's supposed to serve while he's been an unscrupulous person who's been under suspicion for his entire political career. Let the facts play out. Let's hear what's going on, right? What Marlon says, facts. Let's hear the facts of this case. And that's why I say, what is the metric for a pardon? What if he gets a pardon and then all the stuff serves like, whoa, wait a minute. There's a lot of dirty stuff going on here. Does this person need a pardon? And that's why I say, if we're giving someone a pardon, what is the character building that they have on behalf of themselves and on behalf of others? What is their contribution to society? Look at this man right here. What is his contribution to society other than contributing to himself? I think the only person that Eric Adams is loyal to is Eric Adams. All the people in his administration, he'll step on them. They'll step on them as clear as day. You know what? If anything, I got to tell you what. I got more respect for Michael Dowd than I do Eric Adams. Michael Dowd, he paid his debt to society. He didn't rat anybody out. He took his hits. He paid his debt. And Eric Adams has not paid his debt yet. If he is found guilty, he has to pay his debt. And that he did not do.
Yeah, I agree. So this is Eric Adams at the press conference yesterday. And this is, this press conference was, we could go through the whole thing, but I don't want to spend an hour breaking it down. It was just piece after piece, but it's always comedy with him. Stephen S., shout out, brother, $20, supporting your message, brothers. We all must do our part. Seek truth, America first. Yeah, I agree. That's, I think that's more important, right? Like that we hold the line. It's not who I align with. If, like I said, if Eric Adams sounded like I did for the last 3 years and he was accused of the same things, I want to see the investigation. Is that true? I want to see the investigation. I don't think that should be circumvented. Now, if at the end of the investigation he's found guilty and we could reasonably conclude that this was a political hit job, I'll support the pardon. But I want to see the facts first. And based upon what I know already, I'm going to say that it's not going to be a political hit job. And it has nothing to do with the fact if I like Eric Adams or not. It has nothing to do with it. It has absolutely nothing to do with it. It has to do with, is there one standard of justice for all or is there not? And that's what we're saying here. So here's Eric Adams from this press conference. This is, I believe he's talking about that he's trying to get a ticket to go to the inauguration.
Before he goes to the inauguration, I got to say, for the movie Crumbs, we got to have chapters like, Once Upon a Time in America. And there's got to be a chapter called The Pardon.
I like it. MAGA Eric comes before that then. MAGA Eric, The Pardon. Here we go.
There are methods to request attending anywhere or to receive invitations. No one from this office was authorized to reach out in any way and request participating in inauguration or any other actions. If that determination is made, there's a clear process on how we do that. And so those who have been excited about, the incoming administration and would like for me to attend, they're going to reach out. People have relationships, but that did not come from City Hall. to. No, it did not. No, it did not. There are a host of people who are around me that may have just reached out and said that, hey, what are the possibilities of the mayors coming? What are the methodologies? But all that goes through a complete system on how it is carried out and done that has not been done at all.
It wasn't him reaching out. It was the people around him. But he's not lying, dude. He's 100% not lying. He's talking about Republicans, and he's talking about Republican clubs, and he's talking about them pushing him to go to the inauguration, and also conservative influence that look like left-wing Democrats, that look like they make their wife's boyfriend breakfast in the morning,
I'm just laughing because I tell you, this new Eric is. I want to close my eyes and just listen. You got to play it. I gotta have to play this and just close my eyes and like, who's talking? Because up my eyes like, oh, it's Eric Adams. Because wait a minute, there's a process now. When people in administration actually leave New York City, there's a process. Because I didn't know. Because former Commissioner Ed Caban, he flew out to Qatar. He went to Dominican Republic. The first Dep, Tanya Kinsella, she went to Israel. He went to Puebla. All these people went to, Cass Daughtry was flying around to different spots. What process did they go through? Did they go through the same process that you need to go to the inauguration? Wow. Again, close your eyes. Let's play a game of close your eyes and play who's talking. Because half the time when Eric Adams is talking, like, is that Eric? Sorry, that's MAGA Eric, right? So you need to remove that black and put MAGA Eric. That's what you need right here. Ridiculous. I mean, you gotta laugh. By the way, Stephen S., shout out to you, brother. Not sure if we announced it. Want to make sure. Coffee and donuts. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Going back, look, it says supporting your message. So supporting your message, brothers. We all must do our part. See truth, America first. Yes, absolutely. Shout out to you, Coffee Donuts. I agree. America first, people first. And what is wrong with speaking the truth? I love when people tell me, just go enjoy your life. I said, my life's great. I enjoy it. You do what you like. I get up early. I have structure. I get up 4 in the morning. I have my coffee. I do my push-ups. I shower. I sit down. I do the podcast. It's great. I enjoy it. I love it. Maybe you don't like your life. I'm sorry. I'm having a great time. The union told me, they know what I'm talking about because they watch this. They told me, Eric, come on, just go enjoy it. They got plenty of money. Is that what life is all about? Just what's in your pockets? Because I tell you right now, I saw this thing on social media the other day, John, and my God, I got chills. Because I've been saying the same thing for years, but this guy put it beautifully. And he said this, and I want people to think about this. Life comes down to 3 places. You have to visit 3 places in life to really understand life and actually put things into perspective. And the first thing is go to a hospital. Go to a hospital. Look around, and you know what you'll say to yourself? Yeah, most people have been to a hospital, but actually go to a hospital where people are sick and look around and say to yourself, you know what the most important thing in life is? Health. And then second to that is go to a prison. Go to a prison, walk around and realize freedom is the most important thing to value in your life, along with your health. And the third thing is this. Go to a cemetery, because the ground that you walk on today is the roof that you will have tomorrow, and that life is really nothing. So enjoy your health, enjoy your freedom, because that's what you have while you're here. Money is not everything. So my message to the unions is I have my freedom and I have my health, because one day we're all going to go in a box or get cremated, whatever you want to say. And it's reality. It's sad, but life is temporary. Death is permanent. So while you're here, you have to ask yourself, what did you do? What's your contribution to society? How did you live? How did you live free? How did you live healthy? Money is not important, because when that ground is your roof one day, you're not going to have any money. Maybe for your family, but not for you.
I agree, brother. Very motivating. I think that just motivated me to actually say some stuff that got on my head. Some more stuff. It's true. It's absolutely true. I'd
And
rather
the
go
video
with I'd rather go with a little smirk on my face than be like, I should have said this and I should have did that. You know, you're not going to think about it. Oh, what? Well, I could drive the $150,000 truck instead of the $80,000 truck. What do I care? Oh, I could live in the $1.8 million house instead of the $1 million house. What do I care? What does it matter? Oh, I could wear fancier clothes. I don't. What? I could buy myself fancier watches. Who cares? You know, I agree with you, bro. I think that was always I don't think that like I knew it, but like I think that was always a thing with me is that like I knew very early on that like life is it's just too short because I've seen so many people die around me young and including my own mother like when I was young and I'm like hey, listen, I'm just here to live my life real quick, like we're here for a good time, not a long time, So let's just be who we are, treat people how we want to be treated and get it out there, Pat Donahue nails it here. He says, maybe the DEA can set up a new poll. Should President-elect Trump pardon Mayor Adams, who has yet to be convicted? Announced a poll via print and social media, but never released the result. So for those of you that don't know what Pat's talking about, so the Detectives Endowment Association, which Pat was a board member on, the Detectives Endowment Association went on this entire media tour that they were bringing detectives into the political arena and they were going to allow detectives to decide who they wanted to endorse in the presidential election. And it was the funniest thing. The guy went on One Tough podcast to listen to, the DEA president. He went on all these platforms. He gave quotes to the New York Post. And he never released the results. You know why he never released the results? Because 95%, he said it was 94, coming from the horse's mouth. He said it was 94. I heard it was 95, but the president supposedly said, getting that third hand, said it was 94% said that detectives wanted the DEA to endorse Donald Trump. But he never released the results. And then we hear, because the PBA is going to be mad and the LBA is going to be mad. It's a bad look. And we don't want to piss off MAGA Kathy, who's MAGA now also. It's not just Eric Adams, who's MAGA Eric now. It's MAGA Richie Torres, who wanted to defund the police. MAGA Kathy Hochul, who wanted to defund the police. MAGA Eric Adams, who also wanted to defund the police. And I showed you that clip a couple of weeks ago where he actually did. And for a while, I was saying he never wanted to defund the police. Completely inaccurate. I have video proof of it that he actually did want to defund the police, Eric Adams. So all these police defunders now all of a sudden are MAGA. So that's what he's talking about, Pat Donahue, and they never released the thing. So they actually never brought the detectives in the political arena, and they showed exactly who they are. They're absolute cowards who work for the Democratic Party in New York, right? If the Republicans take over, then they'll be right-wing guys, and anytime they're running for election, by the way, they all got MAGA hats on, or they try to push the conservative narrative, but they're all hanging out with Democratic strategists and lobbyists all the time, going out to dinner, hanging out at Rayo's, getting fat, wearing pinky rings.
I want to read out this, excuse me. I want to read out this interaction between Marlon and Juju. Now, Juju, don't get me wrong, Juju makes me laugh. But this one, he's totally off base. I don't even know what he's talking about here. I don't think he knows what he's talking about at all. So Marlon says Republicans and conservatives have this need to be accepted by Democrats. Spot on. That the minute Eric Adams says pro-MAGA stuff, they want to pull him into the fold. Marlon, I think you're spot on. And here's Juju's response. You ready? Let me find it. Man, these comments are flying in. He says, LOL, at Marlon. Actually, it's the other way around. Have you seen the host of the Young Turks making appearances on right-wing podcasts like Rogan and the rest? Since when is Rogan a right-wing podcast? Juju, you're way off base here. What are you talking about? John, do you consider Rogan a right-wing podcast? Absolutely not.
Rogan is a stoner lib, and he's been his whole life. This is the first time ever that he endorsed a Republican president or voted for a Republican. He said it prior. I've never voted for a Republican in my life. I mean, I'm going to make the case that Donald Trump's really more along the lines of a old school Democrat than he is actually a conservative Republican. You know, and if you look who's surrounding himself with, and I've said it again, listen, I'm no fan of Elon Musk, and I'm no fan of Tulsi Gabbard, and I'm no fan of Mike Johnson, and I'm no fan of any of them because I think that they're all Democrats. I think, and they all voted for Joe Biden last election. And I'm not saying I don't forgive people or forget, but I just don't forget things. I don't forget that there's a lot of things that we said were going to go bad, and now they're bad, and you're shocked, but you voted for it. You're shocked now. And it's like, well, you voted for it, though. How are you shocked by it? You know, and everyone's like, oh, Elon Musk saved Twitter. Why am I still being shadow banned? Why is my account in a box? You know, I watch it every day. I understand what's happening with it. It's in a box. Why is it in a box? You know, and so like I think, you know, I appreciate Elon Musk, but at the same time, there's a lot of questions that like why is there still censorship going on X? Why are there still shadow banning going on X? And it's clear who's being shadow banned. You know, so there's a lot of control of the information going on. You know, I didn't forget Tulsi Gabbard. She's not a conservative hero, in my opinion. Eric Adams isn't a conservative hero, in my opinion. We could have a conversation about it. There's a lot of things I like about her, and there's a lot of things I don't. And it's the same thing with Elon Musk. And it's the same thing with RFK. We did a show on RFK. I support RFK. I go on RFK's network all the time. Children's Health Defense. I support him when it comes to medical freedom. When he starts talking about the climate, I'm like, or the police, I'm like, get this guy away from me. He's further left than Joe Biden. He's further left than Jumaane Williams. You know, I'm like, this guy don't know what he's talking about. You know, and like, so, you know, I think that's the thing that like people just, you know, it's like, oh, it's all in or nothing. Like, no, for me, I'm not. I honestly, like I said, I was a registered independent in New York City because the Republicans was so cowardly that I just didn't even want an R in front of my name being a New York Republican, because I think a New York Republican is the ultimate, like, just the ultimate sign of cowardice. And it's not because of the people that are voting. It's because of it's just the people that are being elected and the people that are in those parties, especially in the Staten Island GOP. Absolutely disgusting. And so I moved, but now I'm a Republican. But honestly, I'm going to sit here and tell you right now, I'm not anything. I don't identify myself as one member of a political party. I think they're both full of shit. And, you know, I think it's to sit there and say anything. I think, you know, I don't know, man. I'm not playing the political games. I'm just saying we're either, I'm going with the old Ronald Reagan thing. We're either going up or we're going down. I don't give a shit about left or right. I really don't.
I think Marlon's spot on. We see Republicans sipping to Democrats. Excuse me. But we don't see Democrats sipping to Republicans. I think he's spot on when it comes to that. I mean, New York City, clear as day. We see, I mean, John, you always call him progressive light. I can't stop laughing when you say that. But we see the Republicans completely sipping to the Democrats. So I think Marlon's spot on with that. Patrick Donin says, one tough podcast is actually the comments response when viewers were asked to describe if they enjoyed listening, watching it. John, what'd you call it? One tough podcast to listen to?
That's what it is.
And what's that?
That's not the name of it? I thought that's what it was called.
Michael Fried is spot on. He said, Rogan is as left as you can be. He supported Bernie Sanders. Juju, come on, man. I usually think you're hilarious, but you're really off today. Sleepy Joe, shout out to you. 1053. So everybody knows what 1053 is. If you're outside New York City and want enforcement, that's a car accident. So perfect. Coffee and donuts. Perfect for this comment right here. Random. But you guys see that Donald's wife was collared and summoned at a 53. So insignificant, he can't even pull favors for his wife. John, what are your thoughts on that? That's a great comment, by the way. I know it's off topic, but that's hilarious. So true.
No, we were definitely gonna get to it. So we'll just do it now before we go further on Adams. So ex-intern police commissioner Tom Donin, his wife was collared for an insurance lapse following New York City crash. So wife of former intern NYPD Commissioner Tom Donin found herself on the opposite side of the law. Deidre O'Connor, 62, was arrested and issued a summons for lapsed insurance after she was involved in a vehicle collision near the corner of East 53rd and First Avenue. She was driving a 2019 white Honda CRV northbound when she was rear-ended by another car that fled, police sources said. The force pushed her back to the back of a 2020 Toyota Sienna, which was transporting a 46-year-old man in a motorized wheelchair. The man suffered back and neck injuries. Both O'Connor and the 56-year-old Uber driver remained at the scene. O'Connor was arrested at the site of the crash over an insurance issue and brought to the 17th precinct, where she was summoned and released. So Donin claimed he had no idea about his wife's arrest when reached to the phone. Sources said he showed up in person in the 17th precinct, but it's unclear if he came down when his wife was still there or after. The driver allegedly crashed, blah, 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 former NYPD official. So now I'm going to say something real quick because initially when I see it, I'm like, what a dirtbag. Your insurance lapsed? But there's a lot of weird things that happen in New York insurance. And I think New York insurance laws are the strictest and dumbest in the entire country because it actually almost happened to me and it wasn't even my fault. It was my insurance agent's fault. I actually got notified that if I ever do what my insurance company did, and I didn't do, if I ever do what my insurance company did, that I'm going to get my license suspended. And I'm like, this is bullshit. Like, they would have suspended my license, but I had an insurance lapse. And the only thing I did was I got new insurance. So I was like, yeah, I got new insurance. And when they dated the new insurance, they didn't date it properly. They dated it like say I had insurance coverage on the 20th. Instead of covering me on the 20th and dropping the insurance, my insurance agents covered me on the 21st. So New York State looked at it as I had an insurance lapse for a day. I never had it. I had insurance the whole time. It was just the way that it was documented. I was paid. I didn't do anything wrong. My insurance company did. So when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, what a dirtbag. But then I'm like, you know what? That's not fair because that almost happened to me. And the laws in New York are completely ridiculous. And and actually, I did technically have an insurance lapse for something I didn't even do. And New York State even said that if it happens again, they're going to suspend my license. And meanwhile, I didn't even do anything. And it's very possible it could have happened again.
I think Ron Lace, if you're still here, I think you're going to have to come out with another hashtag. I agree. Because I'm going to say I agree. I find myself saying I agree a lot today. And a lot of times we agree, disagree constantly. But today I'm like, all right, I agree. Because, dude, it happened to me. I mean, honestly, these insurance companies are terrible. Forget about it. If an insurance company has to pay you out, good luck. You're waiting. It takes forever. It's pulling teeth. But when you have to pay your insurance, God forbid you're a day late or something happens, there's some type of mix-up, they'll cancel you right away, and you'll have an insurance lapse, and you won't even know it. So if this is the smoking gun, the big arrest, big deal. First of all, she got rear-ended and then hit somebody else. This is ridiculous. It's not like she was driving like a maniac, T-boned somebody, and didn't have insurance. This is not the case at all. So I'm kind of wondering, did Tariq Shepard make that call? Hey, listen, I had to lose my promotion because of this guy. Who knows? I don't know. First of all, that's stupid. I agree. There's insurance lapse all the time. I wonder if the police department actually looked into it to see what was going on with her insurance. I mean, this is a common issue that happens. I don't. Even Reed says that is a common problem about insurance lapses that do not occur and create a lot of unnecessary logs against member services, as DMV reports it to the department. Yeah, this is not a big deal. Don't get me wrong. There are people that lapse their insurance, but this is not something that is such a big deal. I hope that answers your question. I appreciate the coffee and donuts, but I don't think this is a big deal. Spot on.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. It could be. I'm just giving I'm giving the benefit of the doubt that she didn't know and he didn't know. I'm giving the benefit of the doubt because if DMV failed to notify you, and they're terrible, by the way, New York, and I think the New York laws are absolutely ridiculous, and that needs to be revisited. I'm telling you, that's one of the things that's like that bothered me a lot. I was like, and Mike Freed's right. There was a ton of cops that this happens to. Labro, you're on fire today. You don't like me today, Labro. It's all right. But it says, I don't believe you. I don't know what you don't believe, but
Labro's got a whole team.
don't
It's
believe me.
Juju, Labro, Justin Vestas. They got a whole team. All right, you take 9 o'clock. I got 10 o'clock.
I love that. I don't believe you though. I'm like, who the hell? What are you getting the impression I'm trying to make you believe me? Like, are you getting the impression that I give a shit what you think? Like, I'm sorry.
Listen,
I
agree.
gotta fix myself if that's the impression I'm giving.
This could be a legitimate insurance lapse, but I know my experience with insurance is it's a nightmare. I agree, and I've actually seen people that have suspended licenses. It wasn't fixed by DMV. Their license was not suspended. I mean, some of the most ridiculous things. So I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt on this one. I mean, I would assume maybe something like that. Come on. I mean, I would assume they have that together. Especially he was just employed by the police department, right? Wouldn't you think that they all have insurance and their license up to date? Not with this police department, but normally.
Oh, so you think that they actually did checks? I don't think so. Key
No,
wasn't even allowed to be the police commissioner. She was supposed to move into New York City. So was Ed Caban, and they just those rules don't apply anymore.
Oh, not for them. Well,
this
rules for me,
Eric
not for
Adams
me.
Police Department.
Yeah.
Joe Menendez asked too about the MAGA black shirt. It's Bishop Leon Benjamin. He gave me the shirt, just supporting his organization. Check him out. Great man of God. Great sermons. I did a speaking event with him recently. He gave me the shirt. So check it out. Great event. It was an integral part of helping helping Donald Trump get elected and really bring up the vote in the black community. So that's MAGA Black. That's his organization. Like I said, Bishop Benjamin Lee. Check him out. Bishop Leon Benjamin. Excuse me. I don't know why I'm getting tongue tied, but this is Eric Adams. Yeah, I'm getting tongue tied all day. I don't know, but this is Eric Adams now. Yesterday, this is classic Eric Adams because as everyone's saying he's a moderate. Everyone now is saying, oh, he's common sense now. But true Eric Adams can't help but come out. So this is Eric Adams yesterday. This is him at the press conference yesterday. This is Eric Adams, clear as day. This is who he is. I like to call him Baby Stalin, but this is Eric Adams. Here we go.
If the press is working right, it is a foundation to our democracy. But if the press is not working right, then it can be destructive to our democracy.
So before we go further, if the press is working right, if you're reporting favorably towards me, then it's a benefit to democracy. But if it's not working right, meaning you're reporting all of the corruption in my administration and all of my failures, then it's a threat to democracy. What do you think about that?
I love, honestly, come on, John. What do we say? 4 more years? Yes, please.
4 more years.
Eric Adams, I want to thank you. You know what? Here's my monologue. Eric Adams, this is Eric Dem, former lieutenant. I want to thank you for keeping me entertained, during retirement here. Please, if you could stay in for the next 4 years, if you could find a way to get this pardon and get reelected, we'll have a lot of content. I mean, it's amazing. That's pretty much what he said. Some little message like, listen, if you say good things about me, you're right. If you say bad things about me, you're no good. He's hilarious, brother. Hilarious.
Oh, man. So funny. So remember, if you report unfavorably towards Eric Adams, you're a threat to democracy. All right. So I'm assuming that defined as unfiltered is a threat to democracy. Got it. First Amendment. Got it. Can't be critical. Got it.
Eric Adams would have done great in the gulag, honestly.
Hey, Baby Stalin, baby. MAGA Eric, Baby Stalin when it comes to the press. So here we go. Let's go a little further into this. I was crying. I literally had tears in my eyes as I watched this like 100 times. So here we go.
And so when I was in policing, police officers would say, why are they questioning us? I said, because you have the power to take away life and liberty. And you should be questioned. And I was a reformer in the police department because we have to be held to a higher standard. That's what you, ladies and gentlemen, are. We need to be questioning you to check the integrity of your stories. You should be holding our feet to the fire. But for you to believe that anytime I question you, I am, who am I to question you? Then who should question you? Who should hold the press accountable for the status that it has, that you can decide. And you're human beings, and human beings have opinions. Human beings can be biased. Human beings can like. Human beings can dislike. You are human beings. And so my job, as I did as a police officer, as I did as a state senator, as a borough president, is to look at those who have power and to question them.
So it's all right for the police to be questioned, but it's not okay to question a politician. The press should hold the police accountable as he held the police accountable, even though he never really partook in the core mission of policing and has less than double-digit collars. He has 9 arrests to his name, 25 years of service or 23 years of service, whatever he had. 9 arrests. So hid his entire career. You know, numerous people have came out since he was elected, lieutenants that worked with him, sergeants that worked with him, captains that worked with him. And there's a common theme. Eric Adams is a coward. Eric Adams was not a cop. He was employed by the New York City Police Department and wore a uniform. And nobody's denying that. He hid his NYPD records, right? If he was proud of his career, he wouldn't hide his records, but he has them hidden, right? No other elected official that's a cop has their records hidden. Only him. Why? Because he had a horrible career in the NYPD. But it's all right for him to question cops. You can't question when he was a cop, though, because you can't see those records, right? So it's all right for other cops to get questioned and scrutinized because they got the power, right? But we can never, never, never question politicians. And it's his job as the mayor to police the media. I'm like, is this where do we like? So we're back to Xi Jinping Eric. We're back to communist Eric. In the same press conference, he's MAGA and now he's baby Stalin Eric. It like doesn't even make sense. Is it the mayor's job to police the media? I'm like flabbergasted. State-run media.
Oh man, I'm pissed because I was excuse me. That's what I was about to say. That's I'm just kidding, but that's what I got out of his message was the mayor, the politicians are the moderators and the monitors for free speech. That's what he's saying. It's sick. The police department, we have to hold them liable and accountable. The press, we have to hold them liable and accountable. And who's going to do it? It's the politicians. You don't hold us accountable. We hold you accountable. I thought the politicians were supposed to serve the public. Again, close your eyes and just listen to Eric Adams. Who's talking? Who's talking? As you said, in the same speech, we have MAGA Eric, we have Gulag Eric. Like, who's talking here? Sick. Dude, this guy's crazy, but he's hilarious. It's hilarious that people don't say, there should be reporters asking, what? Are you saying that you are the moderator for free speech? What are you saying here? That we can't actually dig into your past? We can't say anything negative about you? And 80-some-odd-year-old lady something negative about you from, who's from World War II era, from the Holocaust, a Holocaust survivor, and you couldn't handle it. That's the real Eric Adams. He can't handle it. He can't handle when anybody says anything about him. And I don't know if it's because he has thin skin or not, but because he's got so many skeletons in the closet, he doesn't want them revealed. That's really what it is. And especially right now, it's like, shh, shut up, and he just parted.
Listen, Eric, you're a threat to democracy. He just said it here, and that's the problem. What you're not understanding is his job to watch the police and be critical of the police, except for when him as a police officer. Nobody could be critical of him because he was a reformer. What the hell he reformed, I'd love to know. What he actually accomplished in his job as a reformer, I'd love to know, because he's went backwards on all of that also. But that's another episode for another day. But yeah, let's go a little bit further into baby Stalin.
And so it's not that I'm antagonistic. I don't dislike your stories. You write some good stories. You cover some good things. You unveil great things in government and out of government. But don't sit here and act like you don't have biases. Don't sit here and act like there's some times where you don't go beyond just reporting the stories. That is what I must check, and every New Yorker should check. And people, there's a reason that we're seeing a decline.
So, Eric, he's got to check to make sure that the media doesn't have biases because he doesn't have any. He's a reformer. You have biases, but Eric Adams doesn't. Because what you don't understand is that when he was in the police department, every day he was kicking those crackers' asses. Every day. So he's not biased. Your cracker asses.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it because here's the man that is telling you that, oh, you got biases. No one has more prejudice than Eric Adams. Eric Adams has a Trump administration kicking those crackers' asses, right? Get rid of that old male pale and stale. Everything he says is about bias, is about prejudice. I can see the memes right now. I'm closing my eyes. I can see the memes right now with MAGA Eric, Gulag Eric. You know, I'm not prejudiced. Just, you know, with his entire Trump administration. Come on. But again, he's a character. He makes us laugh. I mean, if anybody takes this man serious, you're out of your mind. You have to. Yeah, I'm sure there's some people. Oh, why are you always picking on Eric? Are you listening? Listen to what he says. The same guy who says I used to kick those crackers' asses is saying that the media, oh, you write some good stories. But basically what he's saying is, stop writing stories about me. That's really what he's saying.
Write good stories about me. You can write good stories about me because that helps democracy. But if you write bad stories about him that are actual factual, that's a threat to democracy. You know, Eric Adams is the most thin-skinned mayor we've ever had. But like I said 1,000 times, Bill de Blasio had much thicker skin than Eric Adams. Bill de Blasio used to get destroyed at these press conferences, and he didn't care. He would go up there like the buffoon that he is and be like, yeah, have these fries. And like the guy was a maniac, but he could handle it. He could take the criticism. Eric Adams cannot handle it. I mean, that's why everyone around him, including this dude, Arthur Aidala, they all follow everything that we do on social media. It's because that he has everyone watching us to try to interject people to stop what we're talking about, which is the truth. So, you know, it's hysterical, dude. It's absolutely hysterical. So we saw Ingrid Lewis Martin, his chief advisor, his consigliere, really. She's been with him his whole political run. She's helped him get elected to every office, state senator, borough president, now mayor in New York City. She's helped his entire political run from captain to now the mayor in New York City, right? So she's advised him the whole way. She's Adam's chief advisor, his number one. She has stepped down recently. Arthur Aidala is her attorney. We played the interview she did when the feds grabbed her phone after she got back from a trip with a person who was appointed in charge of DCAS, who has zero real estate experience. DCAS is the Department's citywide administrative services, who oversees all leasing in New York City. And they were actually with someone, I believe, from, I could be wrong, but I don't even want to say the company name, but from a real estate company that New York City was seeking to do a deal with, a multi-million-dollar deal. And the person that they were with was seeking to benefit millions of dollars if those leases went through. So they get stopped coming back from this overseas trip. I believe it was to China, if I'm not mistaken. And they get their phone snatched. She now goes on her attorney's podcast. This is not that. This is a press conference from yesterday. She goes on her attorney, Arthur Aidala Power Hour. She goes on that podcast. And she says, basically admits, she says, well, we weren't doing any crimes worthy that the DA should look at us or that the media should be concerned or the feds. This is a targeted hit. So, you know, we brought you that when it was there. But this is from a press conference she does yesterday, why she left. Eric Adams is refusing to take any questions about why his chief advisor left. He will not take any questions. He will not answer anything. This is Ingrid Lewis Martin, his number one. I say no wartime consigliere here.
Thank you, Arthur. Good morning. Oh, I'm going. Thank you, Arthur, and good morning again. Thank you all for coming. It was important for me to speak to you directly so that you know who I am and what I am about. I have to answer to a higher authority. I was raised in a very specific way. My parents raised us that when you do something wrong, you have to take ownership of that. When you do something wrong, whatever the penalty is, and you take the penalty with alacrity. But more importantly, they taught us that when you are being unjustly accused of something, you stand up for your rights. And that is exactly what I am doing today. I'm being falsely accused of something. I don't know exactly what it is, but I know that I was told that it's something that's illegal. And I have never done anything illegal in my capacity in government. I've worked in government for over 35 years in all three branches, federal, state, and city. I've worked at the lowest level to some optimum levels. And during my tenure, I have never taken any gifts, money, anything. I have not made any arrangements in advance to take any gifts or money, or to have any gifts or money given to a family member or a friend in order for me to do my job. I've done my job to the best of my ability with diligence for the citizens of New York City. And I thank you all for coming, and I'll turn you back over to my attorney, Arthur Donin.
So that's Eric Adams, number one. What do you think about what Ingrid had to say here?
So I think Ingrid was actually talking to Eric Adams. I think she was actually, it's funny how she was his number one who took him through his political career, took him to stardom. She's also the number one that may take him to jail. So I think that she was actually talking to Eric Adams. That I learned in life, when you do things wrong, you actually take accountability for it and you actually admit your guilt. She's saying, I'm not guilty, right? But she's saying, if you are guilty, you should be held accountable for it and admit your actions. That's what she learned. That's what she's saying her values are. To me, she's talking to Eric Adams. What do you think?
I mean, I don't really know. I got to be honest. I always liked Ingrid, and like one thing I'll say about Ingrid is that video that we just played of Eric Adams, where he said the borders should remain open. You know why he did that video? That you know why he said that the official position in New York City is the border should remain open? It's because Ingrid did an interview and they asked her, should the borders be closed? And she said, yeah, absolutely. They should close the border. She's like, this. And so the next day he comes out and he's like, whoa. The official position in New York City is the border should remain open. So, when she got indicted, when she got indicted, when she got her house raided, she did not get indicted. She's expecting to be indicted, is what she's saying at this press conference. And she stepped down. But when her house got raided after that trip, when her phone got taken, I retweeted it and I said, well, Ingrid actually did say to close the border because Eric Adams never did, but she actually did. So I don't really know. I watched it. I think that, she's not taking ownership. She's saying she doesn't know what the indictment's for, but yet she's going further on to say, well, I never accepted any gifts or any trips or anything like that. So kind of sounds like what the investigation's about. It kind of like contradicting itself. I've heard through the grapevine, not that I know that this is true because I don't know anyone in the inner circle of the Adams camp. But reportedly through the media, her and Eric Adams have not been talking for a long time. And I think, you've seen his entire administration is in shambles. Just based upon that alone, I mean, the fact that Kathy Hochul has not moved in to have him be unseated. He obviously is not a good judge character. He's obviously not a good manager. And the people he has around him, his most trusted people, are embroiled in corruption scandal. And you can't, it's the same thing to me. Like, if you just on a smaller scale, if you're a sergeant and your whole anti-crime team is being accused of corruption, you're obviously not a very good sergeant, right? And you're going to be removed out of that unit, right? You're obviously, we got to look at you too. Maybe you're a little corrupt too, if your whole team is. And why that doesn't play to the mayor, why that same thing doesn't think. There's failure to supervise. I'm hitting Eric Adams. Failure to supervise. You're horrible. You picked a horrible team. You're a horrible mayor. You got nothing accomplished. Kathy Hochul, same goes for you.
So my perception excuse me, my perception management of this press conference here. I think that Ingrid is as I said, she's his number one. She took him through his political career. She took him to stardom. I think this is her actually now distancing herself from Eric Adams by saying you should be accountable. If I learned in life, if you do things wrong, that you should admit your guilt. And I think she's also separating herself from Eric Adams by saying, well, I didn't take any gifts. I didn't take any money. To me, my interpretation was that was what she was saying about Eric. That's what Eric did, not me. I think that was her way of absolving herself. I didn't do nothing wrong. This is what Eric's doing. That's, to me, I think this is her distancing herself from Eric Adams and starting to create that space. I'm sure she'll turn state's witness. That's my opinion based on this.
I'm still curious about where Cabana is. Cabana, are you on the witness protection program? I heard you at the Hispanic gala the other night. Are you getting set to testify too against him? I don't know. Let's see. Let's see what happens. So this is just a little bit more of this press conference. This one raised my eyebrows a little bit.
Of the reasons why we're doing this kind of proactively is we're pretty certain that one day this week we are going to be appearing in court at 100 Center Street, and maybe we can get some of this out of the way now. The scene at 100 Center Street will be a little less frenetic and chaotic. Ingrid is going to make a brief statement in a moment, but then she's not going to be talking about the substance of the case like we typically do. And, lawyers tell their clients not to speak, even though of the reasons why we're doing this kind of proactive.
So what do you think about that little clip?
Again, I think it's another indication that she's paving the way, along with her attorney, to distance herself from Eric. And I think she's going to actually give Eric up. If Logic's Finest put it here, he's right. Ingrid Martin said, we haven't done anything that's worthy of being rated. That sounds like an admission of guilt to me. I agree. John and I spoke about this on a prior episode where pretty much she gave an admission of guilt. And I think she is guilty of stuff. But right now here, I think there's no doubt in my mind she's involved. I think that there is definitely guilt on her behalf. But I think she's actually saying, well, it's really Eric. He's kind of the ringleader in this. And he's the one who should take responsibility. And I think they're paving the way to turn her against Eric. That's what I think.
Definitely possible. I mean, I this quote I loved from Ingrid. This was a post I put out this picture of her a while back. And this was a quote from Ingrid Lewis. I'm not Michelle Obama. When they go low, we drill for oil. I'll meet you down in the sub-basement. And I love that quote because Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. She said, I'm not Michelle Obama. So I don't know, man. I think, again, I don't know what she was involved in, what she wasn't. I know that just knowing that trip that she took and who she took it with and the fact that they were doing business deals with the city, I say warrants a huge corruption investigation. I say just knowing that alone, and I don't know the details of it. I don't know if they were best friends since they were 10 years old. To me, it doesn't even matter. You better know better than that. It's even more of a reason not to do business with each other. If I knew one of my friends was in the big real estate business and it's someone I'm close with and I spend all the time with, and now I'm in charge of the city doing things and they're doing business with the city, I'm like, yeah, dude, we're going to have to lay low for about 4 years until this is over because I can't, we can't, I'm not going to lose my job. I'm not going to make, it's illegal. It's illegal. We can't do it. It is what it is. I can't do business with you, even though we like your company, or I'm going to recuse myself from any of those decisions. And unfortunately, I don't think anybody was recusing themselves at all. So just knowing that trip alone, I mean, I think everyone should raise their eyebrow. You're going away with someone who's doing business with the city, who's about to make a real estate deal with the city that makes absolutely no sense and is costing the city way more money than the person who actually won the bid that you pulled the bid from, and you're going to put them in there. And when you do, the person that you're flying on a plane with and you went away with is going to make millions and millions of dollars. Yeah, I'm going to say corruption investigation warranted.
Well, there's no doubt in my mind. She's the second in command, right? There's no doubt in my mind that if Eric Adams is found guilty, and he's actually guilty of the crimes we suspect that he's guilty of, all the suspicion that he's been under, there's no doubt that she's involved. But I think what she's doing here is she's saying, well, it's really Eric Adams. He's the ringleader in this. And she's trying to separate herself. And I think she's going to turn against Eric Adams. She is second in command. She was his main advisor. She was his number one. She took him to where he needed to be. So she has all the dirt on him. And there's no way that Eric Adams, if he is in fact dirty, if in fact corrupt, there's no way that she couldn't be either as a second in command. It's impossible.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, dude. It's like it doesn't look good for Adams, and I think that's why he's really looking for a pardon. And I think we said that earlier. I think you said that right when we opened up. If you didn't think you had a problem, you wouldn't be working so hard, you know? So Eric Adams' re-election campaign isn't looking too great. Took a huge hit. We spoke about that earlier. He's not getting matching funds. And it's Eric Adams that quoted, if you want to win an election, you got to fundraise. If you fundraise, you make the money, you win the election. That is a huge blow to Adams' 2025 election campaign. He will not be receiving matching funds. I personally cannot stand the matching funds. I think it's a huge waste of taxpayer money. I think the matching fund should even be eliminated. You know, that doesn't mean that because he violated the law, we should forget about that either. No, when it was in, you violated the law. But I think they should get rid of it totally, because I'm sure Eric Adams is not alone in that accusation. And I'm sure if we look at other campaigns, both Republicans and Democrats in New York, you're going to see very similar actions happen. I don't think that Eric Adams' campaign came up with this on their own. So I think while his reelection campaign's not doing well, his campaign to get pardoned is looking on the up and up these days. I mean, this is about the fourth or fifth time that Donald Trump has said that he will look into the pardon, but he will look at the facts of the pardon. So anything else you got on that? We're almost on 2 hours. We got a lot of stuff, dude, but honestly, I don't think we should cover it. I think we should do other podcasts. We had a hearing yesterday or the day before in New York City Council on stop, question, and frisk and the implementation of the Right to Know Act. So I think we gotta do a whole episode on that. We also, another article came out from the city yesterday in relation to the vehicle crashes, NYPD vehicle crashes and NYPD vehicle pursuits. That's showing that it just keeps going up, and the time frame from when John Shell was appointed the chief of patrol, how it was just a straight line up in the accidents and the amount of people that got killed. I think that's another episode we got to cover. Anything else you want to talk about, not too in depth, before we get out of here?
No, we're getting on close to 2 hours here. I think we covered it. I think we should stay on topic at this point. I just want to advise our friends that listen to the podcast, stay on course with us, please. Like and share and subscribe. If you're on X, please share this out. Share it out. Let's go. Let's build this network together. We're getting close to Christmas time here. We'll keep you posted. So John's going to be headed to New York this week. So, and we're getting close to Christmas. So we'll keep you posted on what days during Christmas time that we will be doing lives. And we might do some recordings also, but we'll keep you posted day by day. So just stay tuned with us, and so we stay on topic. And if there's something that you want discussed around Christmas time, let us know. We'll make sure to get on it. I think Christmas Eve in the morning, we'll probably go live that day. Christmas Day will probably completely take off. But so we'll keep you posted with that. Thank you so much, friends that listen to the podcast. We really appreciate it. Hope everyone's getting ready for the holidays. God bless you and your families, and thank you so much for building this network. I think we should close it out here. The other stuff is kind of off topic. We could get into it, but if there's something that you want discussed, don't be shy. Let John and myself know, and we'll get our finger on it. With that being said, John, I think let's close it out.
Yeah, so that's it, guys. We'll, like we said, we'll be sparing. We're not going to be on every day going forward until after New Year's. Then we'll be back on our regular routine. But through the holidays, I'm traveling, and Eric's traveling. It'll be a little bumpy, but we are going to do some recordings, and we'll unleash those recordings out as well. So we appreciate you guys sticking with us, and it's been a good ride. I think it's been a good year since like early September, when we really started ramping up the amount of content that we're putting out. I think it's been great. I think the podcast has grown significantly in that time. In 2025, we're definitely going to take it to a whole new level. Like I said, we're going to probably have a lot more shows on there, on the channel and throughout. So, we appreciate it. And like I said, we're going to be doing those X Spaces starting in January, once a month. So if those of you guys that want to actually come up and speak, we'll put a topic up, and we'll just moderate it. Really, you guys talk, we'll talk a little bit. So we'll be doing those once a month. We'll announce those. We'll promote those ahead of time. Our good friends Cafecito Break, they host the X Space that we join from time to time Monday nights. Definitely check that out. We did one last night with them on the drones. Actually, I did it. Eric couldn't make it. I did it last night with them, but definitely check that out. And and so we're gonna keep rocking. We'll be back tomorrow, live 8:05. Thanks everybody for joining today. If we missed anybody or any comments, we apologize. We'll get to it again. And then anything else that you guys think we should see, we appreciate it. Mike Freed keeps sending us great information. Patrick Jordan, we appreciate you always being here, your thoughts, and everyone that's sending us all the information and the love and the support, the donations. We appreciate you guys. And that's it. That's it for me. Eric, you got anything before we go?
Yeah, I'm actually going to meet Patrick Jordan on Thursday for lunch in LA County. So, we're building this network here. Any friends and listeners to the podcast, if you're out in the West Coast, please hit me up. We can have lunch. We can have some cigars. Eddie Westbrook, I don't know if you're here today. You've been talking about cigars. So at some point, we got to meet up. One day we hopefully we could grow enough to have a big event, and we'd love to have our friends and listeners, and we'll get there. It's going to take time, so let's keep grinding. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate it. See you tomorrow.
There's a handful of retired officers that don't live in the state that have a lot to say about the dream team, as I like to call it. All of a sudden, they retire and have a master plan on how to fight crime, but nothing to contribute when they were here. They want to come back and be part of the dream team. What can I say?
Law enforcement professionals dedicate their lives to serving and protecting our community. But who's protecting their financial futures? That's where Laidlaw Blue comes in. Our wealth management platform is specifically designed for the law enforcement community. Laidlaw Blue is a division within Laidlaw Wealth Management, run by retired New York City detective John McDermott. His status as a retired detective uniquely positions him to establish a deep connection between Laidlaw Blue and the law enforcement community. Our platform is easy to use and provides a range of financial services, including investment management, retirement planning, and insurance solutions. With Laidlaw Blue, you can secure your financial future and provide for your loved ones. Our team of experienced financial advisors understands the unique challenges and opportunities that law enforcement professionals face. We're here to help you navigate the complexities of financial planning and achieve your goals. Laidlaw Blue. Secure your financial future today. Book a meeting using the QR code displayed, or call us directly on 888-901 Blue. That's 888-901 Blue.